What is going on, y'all? Welcome to Joel Friday TV. I am Joel Friday. A few announcements before we get started. Hit that like button, smack it. Lay the smack down on the like, subscribe, and share button. Tell your peoples about the show so we get the subscribers up and a message out. Do it now. Help a brother out. As you guys know, we are live Monday through Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Punchy.tv. And at any point during the show, you can call in. 888-775-3773, 888-775-3773, and we can get into the stuff. That stuff that you want to get into, we can get into it. That stuffy stuff. And if for whatever reason you can't call in, but you still have a question or comment, or you just want to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JoelFridayTV or go directly to the YouTube live chat. Hit the super chat button there. Send your question or comments in. I'll read them live on air. Live on air. And we'll get into it. All right. What's today? Today's Tuesday. What does that mean? You know what it means. Today is True Crime Tuesdays. Those that are new to the channel, every day, Monday through Thursday, we do a themed live episode. Every day is a different theme. Today is True Crime Tuesday, and each day is a different theme. So make sure you guys check that out. I have playlists set up on my YouTube channel where you can choose which theme you prefer to listen to, and I have plenty of videos of each theme day. All right. Amazing stuff. Let's get right into it. Listen, you guys know that these true crime stories, I gotta dig in there. I gotta unfold. I gotta unpack. I gotta get to the details. I gotta explain. I gotta understand. You guys know that I do that with these stories. So therefore, we jump right into it, all right? We jump right into the main course, and we get right to it, okay? Because I don't know if you guys ever heard of this girl, Natalia Grace. She has so many names at this point because she was a foster child. I don't know which one is her correct one, but the one that is known in the mainstream right now is Natalia Grace, okay? She's this now 21-year-old girl who was born with dwarfism and also in foster care since she was born, from the time she came out of the womb. Now, I don't know exactly when she went into foster care, but she was always in there, right? Mama and daddy had their issues. So the story is that she was adopted by this family. And she was adopted by multiple families, which I'm going to get into. But the family that created this widespread, I guess, claim to fame, or a story, better yet, was Christine Barnett and Michael Barnett. Michael and Christine Barnett, all right? They adopted young Natalia, okay? Soon as they adopted young Natalia, all hell broke loose. All right, they got documentaries after this girl. They got Hulu shows after this girl. They got reality. It's just a story. And it's still ongoing. Still to this day. It's still ongoing. They got a movie. It's just a mess. So I want to break down, I always like to get into the background first. We start from the beginning, and then we work our way up, right? That's how we paint the picture. So I want to go to the beginning where it all starts. Okay, first off, Christine Barnett was a mother and wife, mother of three boys with Michael, and she was also an author. Okay, this is important information, fairly important. And she had a book out. And a memoir, or she published a memoir in 2013 titled The Spark, A Mother's Story of Nurturing Genius and Autism in which she claims her son Jacob had a higher IQ than Einstein, right? And had a photographic memory. So she has this son. This is before Natalie comes into the picture. She has this son who has autism, and she claims that he's so smart and that he's smarter than Einstein. So she writes a book about it and all that stuff. She's an author and all these different things, right? Michael Barnett, the husband, was just an average guy, regular old type guy, just worked in these regular jobs. And I think T-Mobile, Circuit City, worked his way as a retail associate and then became manager, just like regular average Joe type of guy. They were married. Marriage was a mess. Michael, according to reports, and also if you watch some of the clips I'm going to show you guys today, he's a special type of guy, right? Special type of guy. Obviously had a lot of issues himself growing up. Christine is wearing the pants in a relationship here like no other. She's calling the shots. She's the one in control. She's the one telling people what to do. And so much to the fact that she's looked upon in this story as a monster, right? Christine, the wife, the mother, is viewed as a monster. Even to the husband, even to Michael. Michael calls her a monster. Natalia calls her a monster. And she's just this like type of lady. So we're already starting off there with Christine, the god of the home, has the issues, right? And that's easy to believe. That's easy to believe. The dynamics all jacked up. It's easy to believe. The husband is weak. Easy to believe, right? Well, let's get into Natalia. Natalia, and bear with me through these small, quick details, and then we're going to jump right into the mess, okay? It's important details, though. Natalia Grace, at the time, she was born in Ukraine. She was born with dwarfism, right? She's just a little girl, and she's very underdeveloped, right? You know, dwarfism, small people, midget, very small, right? And she was bounced around to different homes, right? Before they met the Barnetts. While she was around, I think they said about, according to reports, she was bounced around like 30 different homes before she even landed at the Barnetts when she was 7 years old. So from 7 and under, she was bounced around like 30 different homes. That raises a question, right? Why is she bounced around so many homes? Why nobody want her? Why 30 different homes had to get rid of her, right? That's a question that I had to raise, and I want us to keep that in mind, okay? By the time she turns 7, she gets to the Barnetts. Barnetts right off the bat. Oh, quick thing before I get to the Barnetts, because Lord, a breakdown. Right before she got to the Barnetts, according to reports, she was at this home in New Hampshire, right? She had a family there, and the family members had a son. And Natalia was, according to reports, wrestling with the son and landed on the son's arm. According to Natalia, actually, this came from her mouth, landed on the son's arm and hurt his arm. And the parents were like, no, we can't do this no more, and got rid of her. That's all Natalia said, right? But it's kind of odd for somebody to get rid of a child they adopted just because they mistakenly was, injured another child in horseplay, right? There's no reason to get rid of a child, right? There had to be something else there that we don't know. But they got rid of her. And Natalia says it's because of that. So now she's 7 years old. And the Barnetts find her, right? Barnetts get her, and they do it all in like 24 hours, right? Just the whole process just is quick. They get her, and day one, they're giving her a bath, right? And Christine, the mom, noticed that she has like hair down there at 7 years old, and right away, she's like, alarmed by it, like, what the heck? Something's weird here. She calls in the husband. The husband's like, what's going on? And so they started kind of like wondering, like, how is that possible? They think that she already had her period at one point. I should have said cycle. She already went through her cycle at some point. And now they're wondering, like, what's going on here, right? Then stuff starts to get really crazy, okay? At one point, Christine starts to mention that Natalia attempts to poison her drink, right? Poisons her drink. And she's starting to see different things. She's saying that as they were out in the field, there was an electric fence, and Christine claims that Natalia tried to push her on the electric fence, right? Kill her, right? And then there was a time where, and according to Christine, there's a time where she would find knives underneath Natalia's bed, right? Knives, kitchen knives underneath the bed. And one time, Natalia woke up, went into the room, and the Barnetts woke up out of the sleep and saw Natalia at the end of the bed with a knife in her hand, right? Now, what's my first thought? My first thought is like, listen, we got another Richard Ramirez here, right? Because remember how Richard was doing? Richard was acting up. Ted Bundy, all of them were acting up. So I'm thinking like, okay, look, this is clear right there. She's got the signs, right? She ain't got no mama, no daddy in foster care. They tossing her around to 30 different homes. She's got this like these examples of like, weird stuff going on, poisoning people, knives, sitting at the edge of beds. So, it's starting to make sense to me. Like, this girl is just troubled. So anyway, the neighbors in an interview also confirmed that the sons had mentioned to them that they seen knives as well, right? Natalia denies the claims. She says that they didn't have them. There was no knives, okay? Also, the husband, Michael, says that Natalia one time took all the favorite toys from the boys, because they had 3 boys, right? Took all the favorite toys from the boys, right? Took them, got them, waited till they were walking down the street, threw their toys in a busy street, according to Michael, so that the boys would go run after the toys and get hit by the traffic, right? So all this stuff is happening. At this point, according to them, Michael and Christine, that they're just like, they don't want to deal with this girl no more. Something's off here. She's trying to kill us. But not only that, she looks like she's older than what she's actually saying. How is she this smart already at 7 years old? She seems to be too grown. She's lying about her age, they say. She is not 7 years. They're convinced at this point. She's not 7, right? Either they're convinced or they're trying to entrap her, right? One of the two are happening. So what happens is now they're trying to figure out how old this girl is. Now, mind you, the tough thing about this story is that everybody's cooked. I'm talking about the Barnetts are cooked. The other different families who I'm going to bring up right now are cooked. Natalia's cooked. So it's hard to discover who's really at fault and what is really going on. There's so many loose ends, right? But I'm going to give them all to you, and you guys can decide for yourself. So anyway, they're stressed out. She's putting thumbtacks on the stairs, right? Flipped upside down. She's doing all kinds of crazy, and they're just thinking like, this girl is tricking us. There's no way that she's 7 years old. So what happens? They go and get her age changed. They say law enforcement recommended it for them to go get her age changed, right? They went in and provided some type of proof that Natalia was actually 21 years old instead of 7, right? So at 7 years old, they go and prove somehow that she's actually 21 and that her birth certificate was incorrect. So they make her out to be 21 and they get rid of her. They're like, we can't do this no more. We're done. We're gone. They end up getting her apartment for herself. They get her an apartment and she's living there by herself and they're giving her food, but they leave. They abandon her completely. They don't want nothing to do with her. They're afraid of her, or maybe they want to get rid of her. Maybe Christine has an agenda, maybe whatever. Either way, they put her in an apartment by herself. They give her some leftover food cans and they leave, right? And they come back and check in every once in a while, make sure she's still alive. She's in this apartment by herself for a year. Okay? A year. And everybody's convinced that she's 21. Even Natalia starts to believe that she might be 21. According to reports, right? And what she said that I believe they told me so much, I just started to believe that I was right. So she didn't even think she's 21. So she's living by herself for a year. And then another family sees her living conditions and is like, what's going on? And this family is a church-owned family. The husband is a bishop. The wife is the first lady of the church. I don't think it's called first lady, but you know what I mean? And they just see this girl who looks troubled, and she's got a disability. She can barely walk. She's small. She is living on her own by herself. Where's her parents at? What's going on? What do? They rescue her. They rescue her, and they take care of her 6 or 7 years, okay? Now she's 16 years old, something like that, 15, 16-year-old. They took care of her, and now the story has continued to go. Now they're on Dr. Phil, okay? And now on Dr. Phil, they're trying to get to the bottom of why these previous foster parents would do such a thing. The Barnetts, how could they just abandon their children like this? She just suffered the trauma from that abandonment. How could they do that to this poor child? They go on Dr. Phil. And Natalia speaks on a few things. And I want to play a clip of that really quick. This is from the behavior panel. Natalia finds a new family and denies the claims on Dr. Phil. Because mind you, she goes to court. Oh, she goes to court and comes after the Barnetts for what they did to her. And she goes on Dr. Phil and denies the claims. Here we go.
Did you ever stand at the foot of their bed, around their bed, in their room, watch them sleep with a knife in your hand?
No, never.
Did you ever want to stab them?
No.
Did you ever make plans to stab them?
No. If I ever went in the room, it was to wake them up because I was either scared of a nightmare or something like that. Uh-huh. But I never went in their room. I didn't.
But is there any reason that they would have like nanny cam footage, hidden camera footage of you standing at the end of the bed with a knife in your hand?
No.
You know, you leave one family because they say you were violent with the boy and almost broke his arm. And then you're with another family and they say, well, you tried to poison her, threatened to stab him. You've had her now for 6 or 7 years?
It's almost 7 years.
In this 6 or 7 years, have any of the things that she has been accused of doing that this prior family has alleged that she's done happened at your home?
No, not at all.
Boom. What you guys think? Guys think she's telling the truth? Is she lying? Because she was crying a little bit in there. Remember? Is she crying? She lying? Is she lying? What's going on? What do you guys think? She's 15, 16 at this time. Who's telling the truth? Now, mind you, her new family, the Mans, Antoine and Cynthia Mans, they say we raised this girl for 6 to 7 years. And not one time has she ever displayed any type of suspicion that she wanted to kill us, she wanted to hurt the other children, that she was evil, that she had a hidden agenda, that she was lying about their age. She never displayed that, they say, right? And Dr. Phil's like, wow. Interesting stuff. But the story don't end there, y'all. It ain't done with. It's still going. Let me tell you. Because then Natalia starts having issues with the man's family. Okay? She started having issue with the man's family. She, according to reports, she gets a little boyfriend and they start becoming real strict with her. And I don't know if they started becoming really strict or if they've been strict with her because, you know, mind you, got to keep in mind, this is a church family. He's a bishop. So, you know how the churches be, right? Strict, follow these rules, follow my rules. God said so. And if you don't, you're going to hell. You know how the church goes. So she gets this little boyfriend and they don't really like it too much. And now Natalia don't want to be there no more. And according to the man's that she's this angel, she's just this child that is meaning well and like she never showed any signs of manipulation or anything abnormal to make them question her character. They said that. But then there's another video that comes out where the man's got something to say about Natalia. This is from E.T. Natalia's second parents. I don't know about second parents, but the man's family also are caught saying things about her on a phone call here. Here we go.
Something ain't right with Natalia. This girl is tweaking. I feel like she's an enemy in the house. If she were there to us, we have held her hostage. Made us look like we're the enemy.
Natalia stabbing her family in the back over a complete lie.
She's done other things too, but this was a new low. Natalia does not have emotions for nothing but herself. We're done.
Yes.
We're done with her.
Boom. Now the mans don't want nothing to do with her. What happened? She was the perfect angel. They said all these different things. Now they don't want nothing to do with her. What's going on here? Who's at fault? Is it Natalia? And mind you, from the outside looking in, if you ask me, just as an observer from the outside looking in, it does seem as if she's the problem, Natalia. It seems that way. It ain't working out with none of these families. None of them. And mind you, before she was 7, she's been to almost 30 homes, according to reports. Right? So what's going on here? But what is wrong with the church family, the mans, that they say that in 7 years they didn't see not a blemish, but then they starting to see stuff. What's going on? What's going on? So anyway, it ain't done. It ain't done. It ain't done. So now, at this point, Natalia wants out. She don't want to be with that family no more. She got a little boyfriend now. She thinks that the church family is too strict, and they may be, I don't know. They may be. And now she wants to leave. So now the DuPauls have an interest in Natalia. Why? Because the DuPaul's son is the boyfriend. So now they want to adopt Natalia. right? So that way, for what reason? The boyfriend gets to see, they get to be together. That's it. That's really it. They get to be together, right? But listen how they go about it. Lord have mercy. The DePauls see her outside of a church and they all orchestrate, Natalia and the DePauls orchestrate her to be kidnapped, right? And in Natalia's will, she wants it too. So what they do is that they literally grab her. Well, they park in front of the church and signal to Natalia to leave her family and go. And then they just take her. Natalia just happily goes. She's a little scared, nervous, like, oh, my parents are going to be so mad, da, da, da. But yet she still freely goes by her own will to the DePauls. And then she stays with the DePauls. Later they find out that Natalia, this is why I tell you, there's so many holes and just, it's hard to tell who is who is what, because everybody's cooked, right? Because later they found out that Natalia was not 21, that she was actually the age that she said she was. So the Barnetts, the first family, had her in an apartment by herself at the age of 7 years old, right? At the age of 7. She was living by herself, surviving. And then that makes you want to think, well, maybe Natalia has been telling the truth the whole time, right? Maybe Natalia has been telling the truth. So what happens is Michael Barnett realizes after he figures this out, after this information comes out, he realizes that he's sorry, right? He realizes that he was wrong, and he kind of doesn't fully admit what went on, but Natalia calls him out in an interview, and I kind of want to play that as well, because I kind of want you guys to see a little bit of Michael's character, Barnett, the very first family's character. And I want you to kind of see like his behavior and also how he responds to Natalia. And we'll kind of do a little character breakdown there. But it's all going to circle back to my whole reason for bringing this story to y'all, to the show. But let's go to that really quick here. I'm going to pull it up because this is just something else. Hold up. And mind you, both were let off. Both parents were let off. Christine and Michael were on trial, but they were let off. So everybody's, hold on. So, cam 1. Okay, here we go. So here is where Natalia addresses Michael Barnett on why he didn't help her. Why did he allow us to go? Because according to Natalia, all of this is a lie, right? She doesn't believe none of this stuff. She thinks that she was coerced. She thinks that that Christine made it all up, that Christine framed her, and that she's innocent and she meant well the whole time, and that none of the stuff that is against her is true. That's Natalia's story. So Natalia questions Michael, like, what happened? So here we go.
Why are we here, Michael?
are we here? That's. Well, if you're talking philosophically.
No, like, I want to know, why did you adopt me in the first place? Why?
Many of these questions, there's not going to be a single answer to. Look, I've learned recently you and I had the same monster, Christine. And we are here because we both were incredible victims of an otherworldly type of abuse.
Okay, first,
She like what?
I'm gonna say, please don't cuss.
I'll do my best. I speak in a certain way. I'll do my best.
Second, what do you mean by you were a victim?
Oh, God. This is all the stuff you don't know.
Well, you want to elaborate?
Oh.
Yeah, I do. You want to give me time to do it?
Oh.
This is not easy. I had the same monster you did. I was exceptionally controlled and put down and threatened, was minimalized. Anything that was who I was ripped from me, and I was guided and instructed to be exactly what she wanted me to be.
Okay, first off, you a grown man. So let's take accountability first. You grown. You're a grown man and nobody manipulated you. Now, mind you, you may have been subject to your wife and you may have been a product of constantly being subject to women due to an upbringing issue that oftentimes happens that you can point back to, but you're not a victim. Let's be real. Let's be honest. You ain't a victim. You were just a weak man that couldn't stand up to his wife, period. But you know how it goes.
What do you mean by threatened?
Her favorite threat was taking the boys away from me and making sure I would never see them ever again.
Why didn't you leave?
That's the best question ever.
All the right questions.
I tried. And these answers aren't going to be what you're looking for to a degree, but I tried to leave her no less than 10 times. I ended up in the hospital regularly over it.
Why did you marry her?
Great
That's a whole question.
Before you do that, let's respect God in this place.
I'm sorry.
All right, let's not use curse words. I know you talk like this on a regular basis, maybe, but we try to keep a clean environment. Yeah. So let's please respect
this is
that.
really hard. I don't.
We'll respect everyone's boundary. No more than you ask Michael not to be himself, I will not ask you not to be a Christian today.
Right.
That sounds crazy, right? Don't be a Christian. See, you can't impose your standard of living on
Yes.
He's his own man. You understand that?
It's okay.
And God is in control.
No,
you understand that?
That's this.
God is in control.
That was it.
We're not gonna do anything with.
I tried.
Okay. You see, like, what I'm trying to explain to you guys here, what I'm trying to explain is that everybody's cooked. Everybody's cooked. The pastor jump in and says, please don't cuss. This is the house of God type of thing. Boy, sit. Now let me not cuss. Like, he jumping in. And I love that the producer jumped in and said, listen, like, let him be himself. We're doing this interview. Like, let him be himself. Like, relax, calm down. So, but that's the mindset of the pastor. So who knows what type of house he was running, what type of stuff he had going on, because you know how the Christians be. And then the husband, Michael, he like can't even be honest. He can't even be straight up. He's calling himself the victim. You know what I mean? And said he tried to leave as if he's not a grown man, as if he's a child or something, as if he did not have his own, you know what I mean? And then Natalia was asking all the right questions, but she's denying that anything happened. She doesn't admit to anything that the people have said against her. Meanwhile, she's at 50 different homes. I'm exaggerating. But she's at multiple different homes, and they keep getting rid of her. She leaves, she runs away from homes, so we can't tell if she's telling the truth. Christine Barnett from the beginning is the one who put forth all these allegations about the night. Well, the husband did too, but saying that she tried to kill her, she tried to poison her, and that she was not actually 7, she was actually 21. That was a lie because they proved that she actually was 7. So everybody's cooked. And the real message that I want to talk today, let me exit out of here. The real message that I want to talk about today is the fact that this is the message. That the reason why this story is still going and nobody has the answer is because nobody wants to be honest. There's no honesty. I feel like 99% of the world's problems starts with a lack of honesty, denial, right? Denial. And what does denial look like? Denial can come in many forms. Denial can be based off of anger, and that anger makes you want to play a victim. That anger wants to blame somebody else. That anger can't take accountability, right? And because it can't, it also is afraid to. Fear is rooted in that denial. Because if you admit to yourself that you actually did the crime, or admit to yourself that it's actually your fault, the reason why this is happening, if you admit to yourself that you're the only reason why you're not getting ahead in life, then you're gonna be afraid that you'll never get ahead in life. You know what I mean? All of it stems back to a lack of accountability. You gotta be honest with yourself. All people, everybody, you gotta be honest. Because honesty is the exact opposite that most people think. You think that it's gonna make you feel more guilty. You think it's gonna make you feel more shame. You think it's gonna make you feel more embarrassed. You think it's gonna make you feel like a bad person, but it does the exact opposite. It sets you free. It sets you free. And that sounds churchy and holy, like be honest and it'll set you free. But when I tell you that is the truth to the core, I don't even know how else to describe it. When you look at yourself and you recognize all the darkness, for one, you're able to actually look at yourself, not run from yourself, but actually look at yourself, face yourself, admit to everything that you see. Your life changes. And you start to become more free. And when you truly face it is when things start making more sense. You start finding more peace. Depression starts to leave, anxiety, all these different things. But people will not be, and it's just human nature. It's not anyone specific. It's human nature. It doesn't like to be honest because it thinks that pain will be inflicted. It's not true. It's not true. And until you're honest with yourself, you're cooked. You're cooked. God cannot change you. God will not change you. And he'll leave you be because you're not willing to admit your faults. And that's just the reality. That's just the reality. And I'm telling you as a witness. I'm telling you guys as a witness. Somebody who has issues, who has mess, and has admitted to it, has recognized it, has dealt with it, and is dealing with it. When you admit to it, when you accept it, you are set free more and more. And also you start to overcome. And you don't have to pretend about nothing. The first thing that comes to my mind, first example that comes to my mind is when you overcome, when you go forgive, and now you think that you don't have anger anymore. And if you don't, amen, more power to you. Some people don't. Some people is gone, right? That may be the case. But if it's not, I know there's a temptation to pretend like it is. Do not pretend. Do not pretend. Because you're setting yourself up. It's really you're being set up by the enemy. Just be real. It's if you still get a little angry sometimes, just be real. And I'm just using that as an example. Be real about all of it. All of the dirty, dark things that if people found out that they would just they would just destroy your life, right? And you would just be just despicable in their eyes. You don't got to admit that to nobody else. I ain't saying that confess that to the world. I ain't saying that. But you ought to be honest with yourself so God can get in there. Because you close the door when you're in denial. You keep the devil inside when you're in denial. You let the devil out and God in when you're honest with yourself and with God. And that's important to say. Because that's people's issue. A big part of people's issue. I'm not saying that's their only issue, but the big part of people's issue is nobody is taking responsibility. We see it all over the country. Nobody is taking responsibility. Because guess what? When you take responsibility, the fight is done. What you had to fight for? What you fighting for? You take responsibility, the fight is done. The fight is over. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. I got some super chats. Let me get to some of these super chats here. Let me see here. Eric Harlan goes in. I got to get to Eric Harlan about this stuff. Let me know if that makes sense. Press 1 if it makes sense. Press 2 if it doesn't make sense. Press 1 if Joel, you're making sense. Press 2 if Joel, boy, come on. No, Joel. Let's get back to talking about. I'm gonna get to the super chats though. Eric Harlan, with a few donuts here, says, "You were right this morning when you said pain wakes people up." Right on. I don't know why Jesse said that wasn't true, says Eric. Jesse had said at church, "I know pain woke me up." To be more specific, and then he goes into the details of it that I can't get to because it's so long. But he says at the end, people don't spend enough time alone in pain to wake up. Isolation has purpose. Sitting by the dock of the bay has purpose. Are you doing the silent prayer? Well, suffer and die. And Eric is responding to the conversation that was had on the Jesse Lee Peterson show this morning with Hake, Nick, and Jesse about Jesse said that pain doesn't wake you up and that you don't have to suffer and all that stuff. I just disagree. I think pain does wake you up. I think God uses pain. I don't think pain is from God. I don't think pain is from him. I think it's from the enemy. The suffering is from the enemy, but God is in control of everything, and he uses that to get people's attention. He uses evil to get people's attention. I think God is control of all of that for the purpose. At the end of the day, in the grand scheme of things, it all points back to him. And I think he's a narrator of even evil itself. That's what I believe. People say that's philosophical or I don't know. But to me, it's just I see it. Because I just notice in my life how certain things have happened, but it is what it is, just my opinion. And hey, I can always be wrong, right? I can always be mistaken. But that's just what I believe to be true. But fair enough, Eric. Eric goes on to say, because Eric got that word. Eric got stuff for y'all. Eric's not playing with y'all. And Eric says, in response to the biblical question, does God allow you to suffer? Eric says, no. God has nothing to do with suffering. Although suffering does wake people up to the hell of the imagination, suffering without distraction allows a person to come to the realization that they're the cause of their suffering. They become aware of the impact of thoughts on emotions. They become aware of the separation between self and ego, you and the not you, stillness and imagination, and reality and illusion. So that's what Eric says about the biblical question. But I disagree partly there, Eric, about God. You said God has nothing to do with suffering. I think that he does. I think, like I said, suffering is inflicted by the enemy, and that when we believe the thoughts, is we're believing into the thoughts, and the thoughts are what driving the pain. So the pain technically wouldn't even affect you if you didn't believe into the thoughts that came from the enemy, and the enemy trying to torture you to make you believe you're depressed and anxious and fearful and doubtful, all this stuff to destroy you, right? All those things, I'm on board. But I still think, in the grand scheme, God has his hand on even that and is the controller of that. Why? Because it points back to him. You steer the wrong way long enough, or let's say you steer down the off track long enough, you're eventually going to turn around. And if you don't, then you belong where you belong. But sometimes it takes a little gut punch. That's just my opinion. Eric's still coming. Oh, Eric's still coming for y'all. Let me see. Eric says, emotionally dependent people can't be alone. They find solace in tribalism. Those who celebrated George Floyd lead others into hell. Seek truth or be blinded by lies. Think for yourself. Take accountability. Don't do drugs. Don't commit crimes. Support the police. Find God. Right on, Eric. And he goes on to say, with another donut here, the correlation of cultural morality. He's responding to yesterday's show. The correlation of cultural morality says country music is white, rap music is black. Which one generally maintains a higher standard of morality? Which group would a white or black person assimilate to? Culture influences behavior. Ha ha, Eric. I hear you, but I disagree right here. Because I believe you're assuming that country music has a higher sense of morality, standard of morality. It's not true. I'm gonna tell you why, Eric. Because have you heard country music lately? Well, not even lately. In general, what do country artists talk about? Now, yes, it has like the undertone of more like sentimental. It feels more sentimental. It feels more genuine. But they talk about beer and relationships, being weak with women. They talk about that. That's literally about being in love, about chasing women, about being in love with women, pillow talk with women, and drinking beer. That ain't that moral. It ain't that moral. And they do be talking about, I guess, and horse riding, and they throw God in there too. God is in there. But who don't throw God in there? You know what I'm saying? Everybody throw God in there. So it's all coming from the same place. I wouldn't say that country is more moral. It's all coming from the same place, except, as a matter of fact, it paints an even broader picture of the different types of evil that both races give off. The whites tend to be more wholesome seeming, right? And quiet and like clean, orderly. And that's exactly what country music kind of reflects. But yet the whites are still fearful. The whites are still angry, right? The whites are still have their issues too, but yet they're able to conduct themselves in the public. And I love that. And that should be the standard. The public standard that whites give off should be the standard for all people. And Asians give it off too, right? They just know how to be respectful in public, decent in public, right? But that don't make them moral, right? And blacks do the exact opposite, right? Typically they're loud and they don't know how to conduct themselves, but they got their issues too. And they also got their things that why people love them for as well. Right? The entertainment kings. Right? Athletic kings. Ain't nobody jump higher than a black man. The point is that everybody's cooked. Everybody is cooked. The whites, the blacks, the Asians, the Indians, all of them cooked. Ain't nobody superior and nobody less than. But that's just my opinion. There's only few who make it. The route is narrow and only few get there. And those few are spread out amongst the earth. But they're a very small group. Those are the ones that are meant to reflect God's light, to help people to overcome, to call people to the truth. And that's just the reality. That's just my opinion. I appreciate you guys. I got to end. American Anchor Baby coming in right now. Make sure you guys check him out. Don't miss his show in 5 minutes here. I'm gone. Thank you guys for tuning in, listening. Super chats. Shout out Eric. And I'll get to the rest. Rick, I'll get to you. Call me tomorrow. And all that good stuff. Until next time, y'all, I got to go. I'll see you. Bye. Oh, wait. Oh. I revealed too much. Hold on. Bye.